Alright, so today we're looking at a pretty cool gun. We're looking at a Chiappa 1892 44 Magnum Mare's Leg. Now you might wonder, what's a Mare's Leg? Mare's Leg is what happens when you take a lever action, give it a little nub on the back of it, and register it as a pistol. This is in fact a pistol. Several companies make these, and they're in a variety of different calibers based on a variety of different platforms. This one is made by Chiappa, and it is modeled after a Winchester 1892 action, hence the name Chiappa 1892. This one features a 12-inch barrel, 6-shot capacity. Chiappa makes a couple different variants. They make a 12-inch 5-shot takedown model, and I believe it's in either an 8 or a 9-inch barrel 4-shot capacity, which is actually much easier to find. You can actually find that everywhere, including Bud's Gun Shop, where this version I was only able to find through a larger Chiappa dealer. But you might be able to have your local gun shop ordered in. With talking with Chiappa, I was told just to have them give them a call, and they might have been able to order it for me, but I ended up getting this through a larger dealer. So, features on this gun. The gun is beautiful, I will say. Case-hardened receiver, case-hardened loop, barrel bands here are case-hardened, as is the butt plate, or I guess it's not really a butt plate because it's not a stock, but the end cap, we'll call it, is case-hardened. So the action on it, once you break it in, is very smooth. The sights on it has a front blade, very narrow front blade, and then just a notch in the rear. And now I did not use these, but if you're interested, has a flip up sight. Now the negative is these are not marked. Now I'm sure with some messing around you could probably find out what the increments are, but I did not really use this sight because in reality you're not going to be shooting this gun that far where that comes into play. So as far as reliability, I tested a whole bunch of both 44 special and 44 mag ammo through this, and the only time I ran into like primer strikes was in the very beginning. I noticed the set screw, which is down here, kept coming undone. Now I retightened it and snugged it, and I have not had that problem since, and I've put a few hundred rounds through this. Now in the very beginning, I suppose you'd call it a break-in period, because I noticed a couple times the action was a little rough, but since putting 100 rounds through it, it has not had that problem. And the only thing you have to worry about with this gun, I've noticed, is you have to run the action firmly. You don't have to be super aggressive, but I'm going to show now, or try to in camera, is if you run this, now I put a dummy in here for anybody worrying, but I'm going to run it real slow. If you just slowly open the action with the lever, what happens is, I don't know how well that shows, the round has not gone all the way up. The lifter has not brought it up, and it will in fact jam the gun. And what you end up having to do is push the round back into the tube and close the action again. Now once you've done that, it's fine. Like if you run this firmly, every time, no problem, and then it extracts. So I found that if you run the action firmly, it cycles no problem, and you have no issues at all. So reliability, like I said, as long as you don't be dainty with it, I guess, I've had no problems. And I found that to be the case with a lot of different lever actions. They prefer to be run a little more firmly than your standard bolt action, where you can manipulate it as slow or as fast as you want. So as far as accuracy, now the thing with this gun is it's kind of awkward shooting depending upon how you shoot it. I ended up shooting it for accuracy testing. I shot it from at 50 yards, sitting in like a bench rest, and I got about a 3-inch group out of it with it shooting, because it was kind of interesting because I had to shoot it. I had it sitting like on my stand, and then I would just have it held up like this. So shooting from a rest was kind of interesting, but like I said, I got about a 3-inch group from it. Now, when you're standing and shooting it, which is generally how you would shoot it, usually I've held it away from my body, and I might try and put in the footage. You can kind of sort of shoulder this, and before anybody asks, Doesn't matter how you hold it. And I even asked the company themselves about shouldering it, and they said yes, as long as you do not modify it, it does not change it to be an SBR. It is a pistol. It is registered as a pistol. You can hold it any which way you want, and unless something changes from the time this video is put out, there's no issue. Now, if you were to change anything about this gun, say put a rubber butt pad on it, then you would be creating an SBR. But in this state, you can shoulder it, and like I said, I will put in footage of me putting it up against my shoulder. I would not recommend doing that, and that is because the problem is, even though it's only 44 mag for something this, I think it weighs like 5.5 pounds, when you've got this little thing into your shoulder, it actually left a bruise on my shoulder, so I would not recommend that. But so now that I've got the whole shouldering it thing out of the way, as far as holding it out, it's fun to shoot, but originally I thought I was going to do like a push-pull method, you know, push with this hand, pull with the back hand, and kind of stabilize it. The problem is this wood is quite slick, and when I originally did it, I wore gloves and I had no problems. But I found that if you're not holding onto it very firmly, and you're doing the push-pull method to stabilize it for your shot, you'll run the risk of it sliding back out of your hand as it fires. I've seen people shoot them like this. That does work, and in fact I've shot it one-handed a couple times. Now granted, you are holding like a 5-pound gun out there, but if you want to shoot it like that, you can. The method I've seen most useful for me would be just one hand on the grip, one hand back here. I don't know how well you can see, I'm trying to get everything in frame, and just holding it out from your body, firing it, not trying to direct the recoil or anything like that, because even with full-blown magnums, the recoil is not that bad. So it's a lot of fun. Now, as far as uses, I will say, for me, it's mostly a range toy. I would not consider it to be very practical for much else. You really are limited by not having a full stock on it. But overall, I think it's a lot of fun. I have seen certain people use it for like hunting and stuff, because you might think, and this is one of my thoughts was, you know, 12-inch barrel on a 44 mag, that's going to get you some nice velocities. I found, though, one of the biggest things is I was able to, like, I shot it pretty much right next to I had a Smith & Wesson Model 29 with me, and I found I was getting faster follow-up shots with the 29 being a double action pistol, holding it in traditional sense, than with this, because each time you'd fire, you had to run the action and then reacquire your aim, because it was very hard to reacquire your aim while holding it up, you know, at full ready. So I think they're a lot of fun at the range, but I think this is one of those things that's kind of just that. It's a range toy, it's a lot of fun. I guarantee anytime I took this out to the range, I had at least 3 or 4 people walk up to me wanting to know what it was, wanting to fire it, but sadly I don't feel there's too many practical uses for it. Maybe, you know, like I said, maybe as a backpack gun, you could have it if you really truly wanted something with a longer barrel than a standard handgun. But other than that, like I said, it's just a really fun range toy. So that's my thoughts on it. Like I said, beautiful gun, a lot of fun at the range. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. The one last thing I did want to mention is, if you end up buying one, on their website, they show this loop on the gun. Now, when I had the gun delivered to my gun shop, it had their smaller standard loop. Now, when I contacted them, I actually went through the one manager who was able to put this loop on the gun. But that's just something I want to mention, that if you're looking to get the gun, keep in mind that you're probably going to get one with the smaller standard loop, and it might be something you might have to deal with if you really want a larger loop on it. So that's my thoughts on it. Like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them, and have a good day.